Hello, chat. Welcome in to the live stream if you're watching live or after the fact. Hello, welcome. My name is Avery. If you do not know, I do these Thursday live streams every single Thursday. So make sure to be subscribed if you are not. Shout out to everybody in the chat because we are going absolutely crazy. Chat, if you do not know, it is a beautiful Thursday night. We are about to have a crisp game, my least favorite game I'm about to watch as a Commanders fan, with Jalen Hurts and the Eagles against the Giants. Now, I actually kind of enjoy watching Giants football right now because Jackson Dart is Jackson Darting. But what is up to everybody in the chat? If you guys are just now hopping in, spam some W's in the chat. I'll pin your comments. Let's get this thing going. Let's get to rolling, chat. Welcome in Thursday Night Football. We know it gets crazy. Who do I flex? Haskins, Mason Taylor, or Jalen Coker? I will go Mason Taylor. What is up, everybody hopping in the stream, man? What is up, everybody hopping in the stream? Shout out to everybody in the chat. Hurts or Stafford? You got to go Hurts. I'm going to answer a few of the people's questions that just now hopped in here because the first questions. But we're going to go over this Thursday Night Football game. Oh, my goodness. My computer needs to be charged, chat. How silly could I be? All right. Let's get this thing going. Hurts or Stafford? We're definitely going Hurts there. To break down this game of what we're about to witness, guys, you can check the wide receiver rankings that we have on the screen right here because it gets a little crazy. Put in the chat, Eagles or Giants, chat. Do you think the Giants have a chance of actually taking this one home? Put everybody spamming in the chat. I'm going to pin some of your comments. Who is taking this game tonight? Does anybody think that the Giants have a chance? Does anybody in the chat think the Giants have a chance? I said, bro, no. I don't think it's a high chance whatsoever. But I would love to see it. I mean, coming from a Giants fan in the chat here, I know you wish you could see a dub on the screen. Everyone's saying no. I'd love to come back to this live stream if they actually do get it pulled out. But guys, welcome into the stream. Hit that like button if you have not already. It helps me in this channel out so much as a creator. And I will try to memorize all of your guys' profile pictures that like the stream so I can prioritize your questions. So with this game, chat, we have Jalen Hurts projected to be the number 2 quarterback in the Walter Picks rankings this week. And honestly, I understand it. This Giants defense has not been able to stop quarterbacks, wide receivers, running backs, really everything. Sorry to Samps. Sorry to all of these Giants fans out there, but it is unfortunately facts. Jalen Hurts is a top quarterback. If you have Jalen Hurts, you're starting him this week. On the other side, though, I do briefly want to call out Jackson Dart because Jackson Dart has been playing pretty decently as far as a fantasy point perspective goes, considering he doesn't have Malik Neighbors. But this should be a game where the Eagles defense, chat. The Eagles defense is one that you need to start. They're top 5 for me this week. If for some reason they're on your waiver wire, pick them up, start them right now. If you're playing against them, I honestly feel bad. That's a little bit worrisome because this defense, look, Jackson Dart last week, it was a close game versus the Saints. He had to keep the pass volume up, which is why he had 40 passing attempts, led him to pass for 2 interceptions. So imagine that was the Saints. Imagine now the Eagles. How many passing attempts and how much offense he's going to have to try to generate. There will be some interceptions. There will be some sacks. This Eagles defensive line is very, very good. I'm a little bit worried for Jackson Dart because of those reasons. The rushing upside is really going to be the only thing that is going to keep him viable in fantasy football. He's not a trap, but he definitely is somebody that I'm worrying slightly about. Are we starting Wandale? That is a great question. I'm leaning towards not unless you absolutely have to. I don't really like any of these Giants wide receivers unless it's a must. You can see our wide receiver rankings here on screen. He's not high in them. I'll tell you that. But speaking of the wide receivers, we can go into these Giants guys. Wan'Dale Robinson is definitely going to be the number 1. Like if you're going to start anybody out of these guys, he can be flexed. Now he is a slot wide receiver. We saw in previous weeks before Jackson Dart came in and started that they kind of used him outside a little bit too, which is not what he was used to doing and really not really anything they've ever asked him to do. Like he is a slot wide receiver at heart. So with that, there's going to be less big plays, but more targets because of it. Slot wide receivers just get targeted at a higher percentage. So again, Wan'Dale Robinson's the only wide receiver start we can have on that side. If you have Jalen Hyatt, maybe, unless you're in like a 30-person league. Otherwise, you're not starting any of these guys. Darius Slayton is not going to play for this matchup. We have AJ Brown on the other side for the Eagles. Chat, let me know in the chat, yes or no. Are you guys confident in AJ Brown this week? Let me know in the chat. Are we confident in AJ Brown this week? Welcome into everybody just now hopping in the stream. Hit that like button if you haven't already. I'm evilly rubbing my hands together like a menace right now. Everybody's saying no. Everybody's saying no that they don't. Oh, we have a yes that we trust AJ Brown. We're going through this Thursday night matchup, guys. AJ Brown, I do believe there is 100% a chance that he can do something this week. He has a 37% first read target share from Jalen Hurts. Now, does Jalen Hurts pass a lot? The answer is no. We all know. Shout out to Commanders Walter Picks fan in the chat. I love you, my friend. AJ Brown, if the Eagles can for some reason pass the ball a little bit, I think AJ Brown is a little bit of a safer start than people expect. 80 yards and a touchdown. See, that might be like, chat, is that reaching? Is that a reach, chat? That might be the max potential. Trust him, I promise. I mean, AJ Brown, I think he is going to finish with more fantasy points than Devonta Smith, which shouldn't be a crazy statement, but with how this offense is working right now, it really is. I'm starting AJ Brown. Devonta Smith, if you need it, is a flex spot start. Again, this matchup isn't necessarily going to be super high scoring back and forth, so there is a little bit of some worry for the pass catchers. Dallas Goedert, though, if you have him at tight end, honestly does need to be started because he's just getting every single red zone look right now. He's had a couple like shovel dump off type touchdowns here, and every time they get in the red zone, Dallas Goedert is that guy. You're kind of relying on a touchdown, but that's what you're doing with every single one of these tight ends in fantasy football right now, so it's completely understandable. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Keep spamming your start sit questions. I will answer as many as I possibly can right when I finish this Thursday night breakdown, but I will go ahead and answer some of these in and out. I will go with Breece Hall over Cam Scatterboo. Tyron Tracy is back now, so it is slightly worrisome for my man Scat. I'm not completely worried, but the days of 20-plus touches a game are definitely over, and this Eagles defense is relatively good to be able to stop the running backs as well. And then as far as the tight ends for the Giants, Theo Johnson is a spot start. Daniel Bellinger has actually been getting more snaps and running more routes than in previous weeks. Likely, again, because they don't have Malik Neighbors, they need to run a bit of a heavier set and have two tight ends on the field to help block. And so he's getting more routes because of that, which is taking away from Theo Johnson a little bit. But Theo Johnson is still a top guy in target share with Jackson Dart starting right now. So he can be started if you need it, and you can expect a pass-first catch-up script for this team. Chat, now that we have gone through the Thursday night breakdown of this game, we all have the Eagles winning this game. Half of us have AJ Brown having a game. Let me know in the chat, guys. This is the time to spam your start sit questions. Again, like the stream if you haven't already. It's free. Takes 2 seconds to you. But I'm going to try to prioritize and memorize the people's profile pictures that like the stream because I can see the notification in the chat. And we'll keep going from there, man. Shout out to everybody spending time in this live stream today. Are we going with Ridley or Wandale? The fact that we have gotten to this fantasy football question this early in the year is so concerning. And it's not concerning for your team. It's concerning for the well-being of the fantasy football audience. And it's crazy that I would go with Wan'Dale Robinson. Now, Calvin really gets a decent matchup against the Raiders defense. The Raiders defense is one that I'm actually sneakily starting this week as well, guys. I know way too much about fantasy defenses. So if you have questions, I would love to answer them in this chat. But it should be a game where Wan'Dale at least has some kind of target share because the Eagles are going to be up in this game. Are we starting Devonta Smith? Yeah, that's a great question. Again, it depends who over. I can pull up the wide receiver rankings in the chat right here so you guys can kind of watch through it as a yap. Devonta Smith is, for who you probably have on your bench, going to be a start. By no means is he a must start, though. I would rather take AJ Brown over him. Are we going AJ Brown or Xavier Worthy? Yeah, I do think there is a chance, a possibility of an AJ Brown get right game, but Xavier Worthy without Rashee Rice is going to be your answer there. Guys, if you don't have Rashee Rice yet, I know the league mate that has him is probably holding on to him for dear life, but if you can send a trade, man, try to get Rashee Rice on your roster. The Walter Picks app here on screen has Rashee Rice as I believe, top 5. It definitely top 10 at the bare minimum. Wide receiver rest of season when he's healthy. Trade for Rashee Rice. If you want to know what exact trade offers you can kind of send, You can check out the Walter Picks app because they have this trade analyzer. I'm sure all you guys have used it already. If you use code Avery in the app, you can try this on all the premium features as well. But then now is the time, guys. Now is the time to trade for Rashee Rice because I promise you, he will finish high in fantasy football. In his very, very limited total of games that he played last year healthy, he was averaging almost 20 fantasy points a game, and it's the same offense. So here we go. We're going Brown or Bill. If this is AJ Brown, I might lean AJ Brown in a PPR league. But Bill, oh my goodness, guys. This is not just coming from the Commanders fan bias that's deep in my heart right now. Bill Krosky-Merritt, now is his time, chat. Now is his time. Are you guys in on Bill or no? Chat, spam yes or no if you guys are in on Bill. Do you believe in the Bill hype, or do you think that was just one fluke game and he's not going to do it again? What do you think, chat? Let me know. I think he can. Especially this week, he gets a matchup against the Bears, guys. And if we go through this matchup specifically, okay, we're seeing some yeses in the chat. Yep. Okay, it's Bill season. Yo, chat, this is not even the Commanders bias. It is Bill season. Bill popping off. Bill is legit. Yes, sir. Yes, sir, chat. Yo, hold on, Johnny. Are you trying to rage bait me? Are you trying to rage bait me, Johnny? You better not be trying to rage bait me. Thursday Night Football, we're going Scat or Michael Carter. I would lean Scat. Just because Michael Carter is like the definition of like scary, bro. Like this is a scary matchup. He gets a very positive matchup, but we really don't know what to expect like from this coaching staff of who is Michael Carter going to keep getting the ball as much as he is. It's a little bit too much of a toss up for me where we know Cam Scatterbo is going to get something. But yeah, as far as Bill goes, guys, Bill is getting a matchup against the Bears, who are one of the most positive in fantasy points allowed to running backs. On top of that, the Commanders are number 1 in rushing yards this year. Bill is the number 1 running back in the NFL right now for yards before contact, meaning the offensive line is holding up. Jaden Daniels is doing his thing, creating some difference in the offense so it's not predictable. So if you're already getting the number 1 most yards before you even get touched, and then he's already efficient after that too. So Bill in this matchup against the Bears, who are dead last in allowing yards before contact. Like this is his chance. And Bill has not even had a game over 60% of the snaps yet. That is my Bill rant. That is my Bill yap. I believe in him. I'm buying high on him, if you want to call it that. Are we going with Scat or Warren? I will be going with Jaylen Warren. Very, very tough matchup against the Cleveland Browns. You're going to be hoping for some receiving there. That's really what is going to save him. I really am not a believer in Kenneth Gainwell. Like, I know he had some good games filling in, but I don't think it's going to be transferable to the rest of the season. Are we going Chase Brown or DJ Moore? I would go with Chase Brown because of the receiving upside. DJ Moore has been saved by touchdowns. Is Wandale a start over T and ETN? I would say no. He is going to hopefully get a decent amount of targets because the Giants have to pass a lot, but there's a very low chance that he actually scores a touchdown and is fantasy viable in that way. And when you look at T, he gets a matchup now with Joe Flacco on his team. A guy that is top 3 in passing attempts. That's probably not going to change. And ETN is the RB1. So I would definitely be going with both of those guys over Wandale Robinson. Again, Wandale is more of a spot start if you need it. If you don't force him into your lineup. Let's see. Are we going Devontae Smith, Jacoby Myers, or Stephon Diggs? Now, Stephon Diggs has been on a complete tear, chat. Stephon Diggs has been on a tear. I do think it can continue, especially in this matchup against the Saints. He's going to be one of the more risky options, but I would go with him. I would go with him in this matchup because you look at Jacoby Myers, a very good one against the Titans, but they are a run funnel of a defense. Like, they cannot stop the run. So you would assume that they are leaning on Ashton Genty to just take away this game. Are we going Ladd or Wandale? I would be going with Ladd. He had a decent game. He got saved by a touchdown. It was the Commanders' defense, all things considered, but I don't necessarily think he's completely cooked just yet, chat. I'm honestly buying low. I am buying low on Ladd McConkey. Am I crazy, chat? Am I crazy for doing that? I might be, but I believe in Ladd. Slightly, chat. I'd prefer Diggs. There you go. Diggs against the Saints. I agree. Let's see. Guys, keep spamming your starts and questions. We're going to answer as many as I possibly can. T or Marv? I'm going T. Higgins this week, man. Like, it might seem crazy, but I'm believing in Joe Flacco. The fact that I'm putting my faith in a 41 almost year old Joe Flacco is insane. But the pass volume should be there. And if it's not, then we might just have to completely get rid of T altogether. Just get rid of our losses, man. Are we going Scat or Dowdle? I would definitely be going Dowdle this week. Again, if we don't have Chuba Hubbard, which we look like we won't, Rico Dowdle has looked like a week winner. I can't say league winner because he's not starting the whole season, but definitely somebody, if he's on your roster, he's giving you some points. And he's doing it efficiently too, chat. Like Rico Dowdle is doing it efficiently. Guys, if you're in this chat, keep spamming your starts and questions. Any questions you got, I'm answering as many as I possibly can. And I will prioritize the people that like the stream as well, because that's what we do around here. K9 or Warren, I would be going with Jalen Warren. Again, very, very tough matchup against the Browns. But the pass catching, I think, is going to save him. I'm very worried about Kenneth Walker this week. I mean, Zach Charbonnet is a real threat in this backfield right now. Are we going Goff, Dart, or Trevor Lawrence? Yeah, this is a good question here. As far as Jared Goff goes, it is a little bit of a tougher matchup against the Chiefs. Their defense is pretty solid. I would lean with Goff, though, just because of that upside. I don't think Dart is the answer in this one. Again, the Eagles' defense is good. He's going to have to pass a lot to stay in this matchup for the team. But I think there's a high potential of him just throwing interceptions. He's going to rely on his rushing. And now that we have Tracy back to go along with Scat, I think Jackson Dart is going to need a rushing touchdown. Probably will score one passing touchdown, but will be a little bit tough to trust this week. So I'm not throwing him into my starting lineup. Judkins or Warren, yeah, I'm definitely going with Quinshon Judkins, guys. If you had a chance to get Judkins on your roster, congratulations to you, because Quinshon Judkins at this point is a league winner. Like, he is the RB1. And not just that, he's a workhorse RB1. And Quinshon Judkins gets a matchup against the Steelers, who have been middle of the pack in fantasy points allowed to running backs. And even if we don't have Dylan Gabriel having a good game, he does throw a lot of checkdowns. And his average depth of target is not very high. And Quinshon Judkins catches passes. Nobody else is really in that backfield to do that for him. So I definitely like him here. Are we going with Justin Fields or Bryce Young? This is a really good question. I see where you're coming from with this, because Bryce Young, thank you so much in the chat, by the way. Bryce Young is he's averaging some of the most passing attempts in the league right now. They pass a decent amount in the red zone as well, but I wouldn't be going with Bryce Young in this one. Again, the rushing upside for Justin Fields is unmatched. You literally can't just get it anywhere else. So even if it is a negative matchup against a tough defense, this is one of those things where the passing is just not going to matter as much when you run as much as Justin Fields does, and he's that efficient. Are we going with Hurts or Herbert? Thank you so much for the comment, guys. Keep spamming your comments. We'll be here till 8:15 Eastern time until this game starts. We got a long live ahead of us. But with that being said, I would go with Jalen Hurts in this one. Top 3 quarterback this week in the Walter Picks app. I agree with it. He doesn't need an insane amount of passing volume to be that. Are we going with Thursday Night Football emergency? Shout out to you for asking the questions. Lamar is out. Should I start Dart or hold out for Mac Jones? Honestly, I would be – this sounds crazy, but I would be starting Mac Jones. This guy is averaging almost 40 passing attempts in his starts. And it's a very, very positive matchup against the Tampa Bay defense. They're allowing some of the most yards and fantasy points to opposing quarterbacks. So I'm holding out, man. Like, the fact we're starting Mac Jones in 2025 is absolutely insane. What about Kamara? This is a great question. I am extremely panicked on Alvin here, guys. First of all, he's dealing with an ankle injury. I don't think it's that serious. He's probably not going to be out a whole lot of games, if that, even one. But I am more worried about these trade rumors that we're hearing. I am more worried about Kendre Miller being the more efficient running back. On a per-touch basis right now, Kendre Miller is the more efficient running back in this backfield. And the saving grace of Alvin Kamara has always been his pass catching. It doesn't matter how many yards he gets, how many attempts he gets, but if he's catching passes, he's going to be there. And if you look at his game logs this year, he is it is just not looking good. So that is my take on that. I really do believe that Kendre Miller is a must stash. He's only rostered in 37% of leagues right now, chat. I don't get it. That should be 100%. And there is a chance that Alvin Kamara gets traded off of the Saints team to another one that needs a running back. Like if that happens, Kendrick Miller is a must roster. So we have over 100 people in this chat. I suggest all of you go add him if you haven't already. The viewership should go down to 0. I want you guys to do this. If anything, if you take anything from this live stream, I'm putting my stake right here in Kendrick Miller. Let's see here. We're going Derrick Henry or DeAndre Swift. Eric, this is such an ugly question because we're not going to have Lamar Jackson in this matchup. The answer should be DeAndre Swift because the Commanders' defense is just allowing fantasy points to everybody. I'm still going to stick with Derrick Henry, though. Again, he doesn't get pass catching work, but I think if the Ravens want any chance of winning this game, it has to be through Derrick Henry. They have to rely on Derrick Henry. And it's not like it's an insanely impossible matchup. Like the Rams defense is good, but they have no chance. Like if they don't get him involved, it's literally over for them. Thursday Night Football question: are we going AJ or Harrison at the flex? I would definitely be going with AJ Brown. I know it looks scary. He has a very low floor, but the ceiling is also there. So I'm definitely going with AJ Brown there in what should be a bounce back game. If he doesn't have a bounce back game, he goes under 10 fantasy points. You guys can come back to this live stream and tell me otherwise, and that I should cut off this live stream and never do it again. Anyways, are we going with Chase Brown or Kenneth Walker? I'll be going with Chase Brown. Again, I think Kenneth Walker is a bit of a risk this week. I'll go ahead and pull up the running back rankings on the screen for you guys so you can see it. Chase Brown has been a complete, worrisome guy. The Packers defense is very good. But again, I can't believe I'm saying this. I do believe that a 41 almost year old Joe Flacco is going to elevate this offense. Jake Browning was that bad. The offensive line is terrible, though. So maybe that means Joe Flacco relies on the checkdowns. He threw a decent amount of checkdowns for his starts in the Browns. So I think Chase Brown is a decent start. By no means am I throwing him into my starting lineup 100% of the time. But we're going Jalen Hurts or Daniels. Okay, this is a good question. I think Jalen Hurts is going to be your safer option. The fact that you have both of them, how in the world do you have both? Jacob, how do you have both? What kind of sorcery is Jacob doing, chat? I mean, I would go with Jaden Daniels because the matchup is so positive. Both of these matchups are so positive, so you can't go wrong either way. That's crazy though. Jeez, that is insane. Do I trade Ferguson? I need. Oh, okay. You have Warren. So you have Warren. You want Bucky or Bill? I like Bucky. I like Bill. I like Warren. I think those are all good running backs. Should I go Love or Goff with the matchups? I'll go with Goff. Again, Love has a really. Actually, you might have swayed me. Love has a really, really positive matchup. Christian Watson might be back this week too, guys. Not that is really like a game changer, but I might actually go with Jordan Love now that I think about it because the matchup is good. He should have to pass a lot. They have Joe Flacco now for the Bengals. Maybe it'll be a little bit closer than people expect. Or going with Devontae Smith or Juwan Jennings. I don't think Juwan Jennings has officially been ruled in yet. I hear he's trending towards playing. So I don't think I would take that chance just in case he doesn't. Are we going with Scat or Dobbins? I would be going with Dobbins. You really can't sit him these days. Thursday Night Football question. Oh, where'd it go? AJ Brown or Jacoby Myers? Alex, that's a good question. I would be going with AJ Brown, but it is very close. The reason I say that is because I do believe if the Raiders are smart, and that's the main question, right? Like, are the Raiders actually a smart franchise? They're going to lean on Ashton Genty, their first round pick for a reason, because they get a matchup against the Titans, who are a run funnel of a defense. Like, they cannot stop the pass, or they can't stop the run. They are decent against the pass. And Geno Smith has thrown 9 interceptions in 5 games. So they should lean on him. Jacoby Myers may see a little bit of a downgrade in target share if that does happen, especially if Brock Bowers is healthy. Are we going with Hassan Haskins or Michael Carter? Yeah, this is a good question too. I would be going with Michael Carter in this one. Hassan Haskins does not strike me as a workhorse running back, like at all. The Colts defense is like decent, but not one where we can't. Again, I am slightly worried about Michael Carter too, but I don't think Hassan Haskins is going to get as much work as people expect. And it is a decently tough matchup for run games at least. Or going Olave or Devonta Smith. Yeah, I would lean Olave simply because of the target share. I think Devonta Smith is going to be a boom bust option this week, as he always is. But Olave does get matched up against Christian Gonzalez, and that is tough because he is one of the better corners in the NFL. Since he's come back, this Patriots defense has been a lot better. So because of that, I do think Olave is a bit of a riskier start, but still, with the sheer target share that he's getting, he's still going to be my answer for this one. Are we going with Debo or Quentin Johnson? Man, this is a tough one because both of these guys have broken out essentially and been top wide receivers. I would be going with Debo. Again, this matchup against the Bears needs to be exploited where it can. We have Jaden Daniels fully healthy again. The run game is kind of working now with Bill, and we don't have Terry yet. So as long as that is the case, Debo Samuel is a must start every week, and I would try to get Quentin Johnson in your starting lineup again where you can and where you do see fit. Are we going with Chase Brown, JCM, or Warren pick 2? Oh man. Oh man. I would probably lean towards sitting JCM just because he's the riskier option. I do really like him this week, but there is also a chance where he just doesn't see an increased snap share yet. I think it should happen, but the range of possibilities are high. I don't think the Commanders will ever go to a full workhorse running back system. I think they're always going to run some kind of a committee, but JCM is going to be the odd one out there. Not that he's a bad running back though. Going Devonta Smith or Chris Godwin? Yeah, I would go or Devonta Smith until we see something from Chris Godwin in a game last week where, I mean, it went into overtime. They scored over 30 points. You got to see more from that. Are we going AJ Barner or Goddard? Yeah, I actually have a bit of a hot take when it comes to this. I don't think AJ Barner is that strong of a waiver wire ad as people thought he was. Like, he gets targeted in the red zone, yes. He had a decent target share like last week, yes. The game was in overtime. It was a very positive matchup against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But when you look at it from a broader perspective, him and Elijah Arroyo ran the exact same number of routes as each other. I think there was like a 1 or 2 route difference. So if it was AJ Barner running 100% of the routes at the tight end position, I would think he's a great ad. But since that's not the case, it looks more to me like he got lucky because it's not like there was just 2 tight ends on the field. Like, they were both running these routes to get targets, and he just happened to be the guy that got targeted in the red zone, which can be what they continue to do. But I think Dallas Goedert is going to be a bit of a safer option, especially with how much he gets used in the red zone as well. Chat, shout out to all you guys that are still in the stream here. We are slowly and quickly at the same time approaching this kickoff for the Giants and the Eagles. Hit that likes button on the stream if you have not already. I'll try to prioritize everybody that likes the stream's comments in here. Do I trade DK and Dowdle for McConkey and Henderson? I would, because Dowdle really won't be much, at least startable wise, when Chuba Hubbard comes back. McConkey had a decent game. He is worse, I would say, than DK, but not by a large amount. I think DK is a sell high candidate right now. And then Travion Henderson does have the chance to turn it into anything. So at most, you slightly downgrade at wide receiver, but then you upgrade at running back for a guy that could be startable. So I think I would do that. I'm confused. Should I play Derrick Henry, Chase Brown, Goddard, or Charbonnet in the flex? I would lean not to go tight end. Typically, you do not want to start tight ends in your flex. I get that he's been scoring touchdowns. I would lean Derrick Henry slightly over Chase Brown here, just because I believe that this team, they have to rely on Derrick Henry to get any type of offense. This is a good one. Do I start Dart or Darnold? Yeah. Again, I am not really high on either of these guys this week. When you look at Sam Darnold, the Jaguars matchup is pretty positive, but I don't trust it. I don't trust it. I would go with Jackson Dart. Hopefully the rushing upside can carry you there. I don't have either of them very high in my rankings this week, so it's kind of an unfortunate situation you're in. Thank you. Got you, Robert. Thank you guys so much for hopping in the live stream and spamming your starts to questions. I love hanging out with you guys and answering as many as I possibly can. If you're just now hopping in, make sure to hit that follow button on the stream. If you guys aren't already, because we do these live streams every single Thursday and also post videos so many times a week to get you guys good and ready to dominate in fantasy football. Thursday Night Football question: start to Ja'Cory Crosky Merritt, Marvin Harrison, or Scat? I see why you come with this question. That is a very, very tough one. I want to sit Marv but I don't like going 2 running backs in the flex, so I might split it. I would consider sitting Scadaboo because this is a tougher matchup against the Eagles' run defense. I would suggest, first of all, putting it in the Walter Picks app and seeing what they say really quick because you can put all of these guys in the start sit tool and you can try it out and it'll tell you the boom and bust percentages of all your players and how many points the matchup allows. That's my number one answer. I would double check that. It's always good to get a second opinion. If you haven't already, download Walter Picks. If you use my code Avery inside the app, you can try all of their tools, trade analyzer, all of that good stuff for yourself. I'm going Bill on that. I feel like it's hard to sit Bill, man. But I completely understand. He's definitely the riskier option. Scadaboo or Judkins for a start this week of the flex. I'm definitely going Judkins. And that's not even much of a question. I shouldn't have to take a breath on that. Judkins has been crushing. Judkins has been going absolutely insane, chat. He's been going absolutely insane. Do I go Dak or Herbert? That's a good question. Yeah. I would honestly be going Dak, man. Like this, every game that he's playing in is a shootout of a matchup. And I do love that for the starts, of course. Now he gets the Panthers, whose defense is not very good. And Bryce Young passes a lot too. So this game should have a higher pace of play. It doesn't matter if we have CD or not. Dak Prescott is still going to air the ball out. So I do think he's a solid start. Thanks, brother. I got you. Shout out to everybody in the stream. Shout out to Justin in the chat. I'd love to have you guys in these live streams. Again, make sure to be subscribed if you're not already. You can hop in these live streams every Thursday. We do some other ones with Seth and Sam on Sunday and Wednesdays if you have not checked those out already. Stafford or Mahomes? Yeah, you got to be going with Mahomes. Stafford gets a very, very positive matchup and one that is hard to ignore against the Ravens defense. But there is a chance that this game does turn to a blowout really, really quick. And if we look at Matthew Stafford's game logs, the games where he hasn't performed very well are games that turn into blowouts very fast. So if that does happen, Matthew Stafford might be a little bit of a risk option. And Mahomes is Mahomes. Like it's a very good matchup against the Detroit Lions. Their defense is decent. It's not amazing. And it should be a close game where the Lions are scoring and they have to play catch up. Thank you. No problem. Shout out to everybody in the chat, man. We are so positive today. Absolutely love to see that. Is Quentin Johnson going to play? What does this mean? What does this mean? I like Quentin Johnson this week. I think he's going to have a little bit more upside than obviously last week. It was a really good matchup. The Commanders' defense allows a lot of points to wide receivers. Devonta Smith, Shakir, or Io Manor. Yeah, I would go with Devonta Smith. I see the appeal for Shakir because he is the slot wide receiver. He technically gets the most targets on the team. But Devonta Smith would be my answer here. I don't trust Io Manor, especially with Calvin Ridley healthy. Appreciate it. Got you. This guy knows what's up. Yo, 2-minute drill. Shout out to you, Shay. Shout out to you on this fine Thursday evening. Coming in and glazing, chat. Yo, this dude 2-minute drill, man. He loves to glaze. Are going JJ Godwin, K9 for Sutton, Bucky, JCM. Which one are you going with? Okay. Justin Jefferson. Giving up Justin Jefferson's big. Man, I don't know if that's worth it, chat. I don't know if that's worth it. I don't know if that's worth it, chat. I would say no. I think giving up Justin Jefferson is a big ask. We're going Devonta Smith or Higgins. Yeah, to me, both of these guys seem like they have an even amount of downside this week. I don't want to put too much trust into Joe Flacco, though. But like T. Higgins, man, he just seems like it. Ready for the next in-person meet? Yo, 2-minute drill. Shay, 100%, bro. We gotta we should run a live stream or something soon. Or like a collab video. I'm 100% down to do that. Haskins, Mason Taylor, Coker in the flex. Yeah, I like that you call out Coker, Eric. The fact that you have Jalen Coker means you're an elite ball knower. He has been one of my top waiver wire pickups and stashes for a while just because he is the slot wide receiver. I do believe, since he's coming off a pretty serious injury, though, he's likely not going to be at his full snap share. It's tough to go with Mason Taylor, but I think he's going to be relied on a ton in this matchup against the Denver Broncos because you have Pat Surtain on the other side of the ball. He's going to shut down Garrett Wilson. It is going to be hard to get Garrett Wilson the ball. Who else is on that offense? Alan Lazard, Josh Reynolds, maybe. I think Mason Taylor is going to be your top option there. Definitely a tough one, though. I appreciate you for asking your start questions, guys. Make sure to keep spamming your start sits. I'm going to do as many as I possibly can. Thursday Night Football, Theo Johnson or Harold Fannin. Yeah, this one's so tough for me, man, because Dylan Gabriel targeted the tight ends a ton in his first start. A lot of that was because obviously it was his first start, but like he kept the passing attempts quick. They didn't really like make him do too much. I think Harold Fanning can benefit from that. But again, you're splitting snaps at tight end with David Njoku. I think Theo Johnson is going to be your riskier option. Harold Fannin has the safer floor for sure. But if you want a boom week, a big week out of your tight ends, I would go with Theo Johnson and hope for the best, man. I think it's completely valid. Taylor, it is. Thank you. Shout out to you, Eric. Thank you so much for hopping in the live stream. Are we starting Wandale or bank on Jawan playing? It's tough, man. From all the reports, I can even check it right now. I'm not 100% sure that Jawan Jennings is trending towards playing. And even if he is, he might be restricted on top of that. Like, he probably won't get a full snap share. So I might just lean Wandale just for the safety. Yeah, Jawan Jennings is limited in practice today with an ankle and a rib injury. So it's not just one. So if he's limited in practice on Thursday, that's tough. That's tough. Like, usually wide receivers or anybody, if they're limited on Friday's practice, they're probably not playing. So I would just take the points and go with Wandale, because if you don't, who's your other option going to be? Probably like, I don't even know. I can't even say Trey Tucker because Trey Tucker probably is not out there anymore. Are we going with Darnold or Trevor Lawrence? Yeah, I'll be going with Trevor Lawrence on that one. Swift or Rashad White? I would be going with Rashad White. Again, if we don't get Bucky Irving this week, which looks like he's not trending towards playing, Rashad White is going to be that guy. We're going Goddard or Ertz. Thank you, 100%. I would be going with Goddard. Again, the touchdown upside is there. You're kind of hoping on that, but with all tight ends at this point in fantasy, you're hoping on a touchdown. Zach Ertz, as a Commanders fan, has been decreasing in his snaps recently because all of these other tight ends are getting usage. They're getting snaps. They're running routes. I'm a little bit worried. I'm like slightly pressing the panic button on Zach Ertz, like almost dropping him. Like, obviously he does have the potential to have those big weeks and a ton of targets, especially when there's no Terry McLaurin. But that would not be my option on that one. Are we going Worthy or Flowers? Yeah, I'll be going with Xavier Worthy. The Chiefs should pass the ball at a decent rate against this Lions defense. And when you look at Xavier Worthy, he's the only option. Like, Travis Kelce's getting a decent target share, but nothing like he used to see. And there is no guarantee that Zay Flowers is going to do anything. If he gets a lot of targets, there's no guarantee, number one, that they're catchable. There's no guarantee that they're downfield targets either. So he could get like 5 receptions for like 30 yards. Like, it's completely possible for that to happen. Are we going with Goddard or Mason? This is a really tough question. Mason is going to be like the riskier option, I guess you would say, because the sample size of him getting a good target share is very small. But I'm kind of taking that risk. I'm kind of taking that risk that Mason Taylor is going to perform. Again, when you have Pat Surtain on Garrett Wilson, you take him out of the game as much as you can. Who else is there? Like, Mason Taylor kind of has to be relied on. He's running all of the routes outside of maybe like 5 per game from Jeremy Ruckert. He's only blocking. He's not really doing much else. So I do think Mason Taylor, he does have the most risk though. So just be aware. Like, if you want guaranteed points, Dallas Goedert might be your way to go. But I would take the risk if I were you. Shout out to you in the chat. Are we going start to Derrick Henry, J.K. Dobbins, David Montgomery, or Cam Scatterbo? Yeah, I would go with J.K. Dobbins number 1. I wouldn't be going with David Montgomery because the matchup is really tough, and if he doesn't score a touchdown, he's somewhat cooked. I believe in Scat, but I think there's a real chance of downside here. Because what happens if Tyron Tracy comes in and splits the receiving usage? Now, I might be overestimating the usage of Tyron Tracy this week. Like, he is coming off a pretty big injury, and he does catch passes, so maybe he's the more safe option. But I will go Derrick Henry, man. Like, I seriously am. Like, Tyron Tracy should not be worrying me as much as he is, but it's hard for me to get past that, chat. It really is. Goddard is also risky with Jalen Hurts. Oh, 100%. 100%. He just has a higher touchdown upside. Like, I believe it was Mason Taylor that you were asking about. Mason Taylor is probably not going to score a touchdown, in all realistic. Like, he's going to have 5, hopefully, receptions-ish. Dallas Goedert is going to have like a little bit lower, but a way higher touchdown upside. But again, they're both risky. Like, this is just the nature of tight ends at this point. So it definitely is a good question. Are we going with Tracy or Charbonnet? I would be going with Zach Charbonnet on this one. Again, I do think Tracy's going to get used. The question is how much and in what part of the offense will he be used? Because if he sees 50% of the snaps away from Cam Scatterby, that could be really good. But if they're all rushing attempts and he goes like 8 rushing attempts for like 40 yards, like there's no fantasy points there. But if he gets receptions on those 50% of the snaps, then it'll be fine. So I'll go with Charbonnet. Like he has a more guaranteed snap share. He has a more guaranteed usage share. And we'll see what kind of snaps Tracy plays today. Because this is going to be a big shout out to you in the chat, by the way. This is going to be a big indicator, I guess, of what the split is going to look like. And whatever Tracy gets this week is probably going to be multiplied by like 0.6 because he is coming off his injury, of course. We're going Scat or Dowdle in the chat. Yeah, I would be going with Dowdle this week. A very positive matchup against the Cowboys defense, who have not been able to stop anybody really at all. Do I trust Chase Brown? I wouldn't say I trust him. He needs to trust me. But I think he's definitely a startable guy. I do think Joe Flacco does up his upside a little bit, but it's always going to be risky. Like at this point in the season, it's always going to be risky. But chat, thank you guys so much for spamming your start sit questions in the chat, answering as many as I possibly can. We are literally, 10 minutes, 15 minutes away from tip-off. We are slowly approaching this time, chat. I appreciate all of you guys hanging out in this live stream with me. I will continue to spam answer as many as I possibly can. Daniels or May, we're going Daniels. Drake May is a decent option. He's actually playing like a very good quarterback right now. But Jaden Daniels has that rushing upside. He's going to be that guy. We're going Fannin or Jordan Mason. Again, I'll be going with Jordan Mason. I might be a little bit too high on him, but I do think the target share kind of has to be there. Romeo Dobbs, Trey Tucker, or Bourne at my flex. Yeah, this one is like, depends on a lot of factors here. If we don't have Juwan Jennings again, Kendrick Bourne is going to be my answer. I'm not trusting Trey Tucker because, again, this matchup against the Titans is a complete, like a run funnel of a defense. You don't have to pass, and you shouldn't pass to beat the Titans. And Romeo Dobbs is a good option, but then if we get Christian Watson back in this offense, it might be a little bit more worrisome. So I will go Dobbs if Jennings is healthy. If Jennings is out, I might take my chances with Kendrick Bourne, man. Call me crazy. I'm kind of a hater on Kendrick Bourne, but I mean, if there's nobody else, best kickers and defenses this week. How dare you ask me that question? Chat, you guys know I'm a fiend for kickers and defenses. You guys know I'm an absolute fiend for kickers and defenses. So the fact that you asked me this is like music to my ears. Do you want like a top, like my top 5 or top 5 like waiver wire ones? What are we thinking? What are we thinking, chat? Should we give like my top 5 from the waivers or top 5 just total defenses? Smith or Dobbs? I'll be going with Smith. Okay, my top 5 in general. Okay, well, top 5 in general. Number 5 for me is going to be the LA Rams. Getting a matchup against the Baltimore Ravens, who, again, they're not going to have Lamar Jackson. The Rams are a good defense internally. I believe they're top 5 in interceptions this year. Like, they're going to give the Ravens some problems. Number 4, I have the Philadelphia Eagles. They get a matchup again this week, today, against the Giants, who Jackson Dart last week was forced to throw against the Saints because it was a close matchup. He had 2 interceptions on 40 attempts. They're going to have to pass on this Eagles team to stay in it. So I definitely like Jackson Dart's chance to throw an interception. And they don't really have an X factor on the team without Malik Neighbors anymore. At number 3, I absolutely love the Pittsburgh Steelers. They get a matchup against Dylan Gabriel and the Cleveland Browns. I know Dylan Gabriel looked decent last week. If you look at the box score, he didn't have any interceptions. He had 2 touchdowns. But a lot of his passing attempts were from checkdowns. He didn't really do anything crazy. I think the Steelers coming off a bye week can absolutely handle that. And then the Broncos in the top 2, getting one against Justin Fields and the Jets. I love this matchup, again, because they have Pat Surtain. You lock down Garrett Wilson. You make Justin Fields beat you. Their defense is very good on their own, top 5 in sacks and interceptions. I believe they're averaging over 4 sacks a game, which is absolutely insane. And their offensive line is bad for the Jets. So you know that's going to be a possibility for those. And at number 1, I do have the Green Bay Packers getting a matchup against the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, this one is a little bit worrisome because they do have Joe Flacco now, which might make this offense a little bit more two-dimensional, a little bit better. But the Packers defense is good. They generate sacks. They generate pressure on the quarterback. And we know the Bengals offensive line might actually be the worst in the league, and Joe Flacco is too old, too slow to run away from sacks. So I definitely do like that. Shout out to you for asking about the defenses because I definitely do like that. And then some of my top kickers, obviously Brendan Aubrey is going to be there. I like Chase McLaughlin. I like Brandon McManus is another guy that's not rostered in a ton of leagues. If you guys want a sleeper defense, though, the Titans are a decent one. They're a terrible defense as far as all things go, but they get a matchup against the Raiders. Geno Smith is averaging almost 3 interceptions a game. He has 9 interceptions in 5 games. So if the Raiders are smart, they're just going to run the ball the whole time. I don't know if they are. How do I feel about Wan'Dale Robinson tonight? Curtis, great question. I appreciate you hopping in the live stream. I think Wan'Dale Robinson is a valid option if you need it. I would not be throwing him into my starting lineup. Again, since we don't have Darius Slayton, he is going to be upgraded that much more. So, like, he's definitely a fine flex guy. He's probably going to be the only guy getting targets, but Theo Johnson is another guy that I like that this week because of it. I think he's a valid start. He's not going to go crazy, get you a bunch of touchdowns. He doesn't run deep routes downfield, but he'll get you receptions. He'll be safe. Thursday Night Football question, choose to scat, JCM, or Diggs. I'll go Diggs number 1. JCM is probably the odd man out there. I think JCM has the highest upside, though. Like, if you're going boom bust potential, JCM is that guy. Herbert or Sam Darnold? I'll be going with Herbert this week. Chat, we are almost time. We're almost time for this Thursday Night Football kickoff. I am a Commanders fan, so unfortunately, I won't really be looking forward to watching this game, but I will chain myself down and force myself to watch for you guys. Enjoy the game, go Hurts. Hey, I don't think I have Jalen Hurts in any of my fantasy teams, so I can't necessarily say that. But for everybody that does have him on your fantasy team, hope he does well for you guys. Start 2, Kendrick Bourne, Ramondre, Flanoy and Dobbs. Oh, no. I'll go Kendrick Bourne if there's no Juwan Jennings. Probably, and Romeo Dobbs if there's no Christian Watson. If there is Christian Watson or if there is a Juwan Jennings, go with Ramondre Stevenson. I don't trust Ryan Flanoy. I really don't. He's the wide receiver 5. He ran less routes than George Pickens, obviously. He ran less routes than Jalen Tolbert. He just kind of got lucky. Less routes than Jake Ferguson, too. Raiders or Patriots defense this week? Oh, my goodness. I love you guys for asking these defensive questions. I would go with the Raiders defense because the Tennessee Titans matchup is so good. The Patriots are a good one, too, but the Saints are a little bit better of an offense than people give them credit for. Like, yes, they are terrible. They don't have a lot of wins at all. But they're a little bit tougher. Bowers if he plays or Waller. Yeah, I'll be going with Bowers. Wan'Dale Robinson or Cam Scat. I think if you're going for a safety, like a floor kind of play, Wan'Dale Robinson is going to be that. If you're going for a high upside boom play, it's going to be Cam. But again, with Tyron Tracy active this week, I'm a little bit worried for Cam Scatterbo. So I might just go with the safety in Wan'Dale Robinson. What do you think of Kelsey, Waddle, and Walker for Gibbs and Dobbs? Oh, I think you could get more than Dobbs for that. Who's your other tight end? If you're losing Kelsey, that's tough. I think you'd have to ask for more than Dobbs. Like that's a good idea. But you got to get more than Dobbs because you can drop Dobbs eventually. Like when Jayden Reed comes back, when Christian Watson's healthy, you're not going to be starting Romeo Dobbs. Wan'Dale or Keenan Allen? My goodness, this profile picture scares me. I would go with Keenan Allen. I'll go with Keenan Allen on this one. Shout out to everybody in the chat, man. You guys are absolutely awesome. Start JCM or Breeze. I'll go Breeze, but I definitely do like me some JCM, and that is not commander bias. That is stat bias. This man is number 1 in the NFL in yards before contact. He's great in yards after contact as well, but it just shows you how good this offensive line is. JCM is great. The Bears defense is allowing the number 1 most yards before contact in the league. It's a great situation. As a Commanders fan, I'm going to be sitting on the couch, absolutely loving my life watching JCM run. Will we win? That's another question. But shout out to everybody in the chat, man. I'm answering as many of these questions before this kickoff goes ahead and start. You got Goddard. Okay, yeah, you can start Goddard there. But again, I would ask for Dobbs still to like upgrade somewhere else there. Do I bench Quentin Johnson, Worthy, or Diggs? Out of those guys, you kind of have to bench Diggs, but that's tough. Rico, Judkins, or White start 2. I would be starting Judkins 100%. Probably Rico number 2, but definitely Judkins for sure. Okay, cool. Chat, this has been a very successful live stream. I shout out to everybody that's still in the stream. You guys are absolute G's, man. Let's see. What do I think about trading Igbuka, Swift, and Spears for Bucky, Bowers, and Myers? I don't love getting Bowers and Myers. You're putting a lot of stock into the same offense. I think it is like you are definitely winning that deal because Bucky is way better than Swift. Bowers and Igbuka, like when they're both healthy, are about even, and then Myers over Spears. I just don't like getting Bowers and Myers on the same team. Like that is so much stock on one team that isn't even that good. So if you could just negotiate around that, I think it's a fine trade though. Like it's not bad. Do I trade Jamar Chase? I wouldn't look to trade. I want to see how this game works first. The Packers defense is good. But again, when you look at Jamar Chase, like he now has Joe Flacco, who is top 3 in the NFL in passing attempts. This should be a spot where he can kind of get his season saved just by volume alone. Like it's not going to be super efficient downfield throws. But it should be a little bit better for that aspect of it. If you want to trade him though, like you should be getting a top running back or wide receiver, like probably still top 5, 1-for-1. Pick 2 half PPR: Swift, Dowdle, Carter, Waller. I would go Dowdle number 1 if it's non PPR. Probably Swift there too as my last answer. RB1 and RB2 this week is Genty and Dowdle. It's not even that bad. It's not even that bad. That's serviceable, is what I like to call it. Start 2, Scat, Michael Carter, or Pittman. I'd probably be sitting Michael Carter. It's just we don't know what to expect, chat. We really have no idea what to expect from this. Like Michael Carter could be the RB1 again, but I wouldn't be surprised like if Omari DeMarcado gets more work or if Bam Knight gets more work. Like what? Like how are all these guys working into the backfield? Man, Jalen Warren, Haskins, or Vidal PPR. I would definitely be going with Jalen Warren there. I don't believe in these Chargers backs. They just signed Naheem Hines. He's still like I don't think he's gonna play. Like he's gonna be elevated eventually. It just shows you they do not trust these guys in the meantime. So I'm not really high on any of them. Chat, I thank you guys so much for hopping in this live stream. I'll answer 1 or 2 more questions before I hop off. Gotta watch this game. Hit that like button on the stream if you haven't already on your way out. It helps me as a creator. It's free to you, literally costs nothing. And I will answer the last couple questions we got in this live stream. I thank you guys so much for hopping in here. Do I start Ramondre Stevenson, Wandale? Where'd it go? I lost it. Or Kendrick Bourne, Devonta Smith. I would go. This relies on a lot. I would not lean on Ramondre Stevenson just because the range of outcomes is so high. Like he could give you 3, he could give you 15 if he scores a touchdown. I would lean with Devonta Smith at number 1. Kendrick Bourne if there is no Juwan Jennings. If he is in there, I'll go with Wan'Dale Robinson. But like again, we don't know. We don't know. So I might lean with going Juwan Jennings on that because you have another solid flex option there too. So if Juwan Jennings doesn't end up playing, you're safe still. Like you're not cooked completely. How are you feeling about Quentin Johnson? I'm not completely scared. He had a down game, yes. The Commanders' defense is bad. Like I'm surprised he had a down game, but I'm not worried. He's still probably going to finish like top 15. Is he going to finish top 5 like he is right now? No, I don't think so. But he's definitely still going to be there. Before the game starts, do I go Wan'Dale or Dobbs? I'll go Wan'Dale as more of a safe option as far as floor goes. He's not going to get you 20 points, but he's going to get you those guaranteed points. And if we have Christian Watson for whatever reason playing this week, which I don't think is going to happen, is going to lower Dobbs' floors a little bit. But Dobbs is just a really, really high boom bust option that I just don't want to trust. I like playing a little bit safe and taking my chances other places. But guys, thank you so much for hopping in this live stream. I really do appreciate you guys. AJ Brown or Ridley? I'll be going with AJ Brown. That is the last question of the night. Everybody in this chat, you guys are absolutely amazing people. I will see you guys in the next one and the waiver wire video coming later next week. Lot of data, a lot of knowledge, a lot of NFL to watch. I will see you guys in those. Shout out to everybody in the stream. We'll see you in the next one.